there's a lot of talk these days about virtual reality, an immersive, state-of-the-art technology in which you put on goggles and special clothing or enter special environments, and then you are in artificial worlds created by computers. And this is thought to be very woo-woo and far out. But in fact, if you're paying attention, we've been living inside virtual realities for about 10,000 years. I mean, what is a city but a complete denial of nature? And say, no, not trees, mud holes, waterfalls, and all that. Straight lines, laid out roads, class hierarchies reflected in local geography, meaning the rich people live here, surrounded by the not-so-rich people, all served by the poor people, who are so glad they're not the outcast people. Urbanization is essentially the first of these impulses where society leaves nature and enters into its own private Idaho. And the growth of cities and the growth of the immediacy, I guess you would say, of the urban experience has been a constant of human evolution since urbanization began. Now, the only difference that the new technologies offer is we are going to do this with light, not mortar, brick, steel, aluminum, and titanium, which are incredibly intractable materials. I mean, it's amazing to me. We started with the toughest stuff, and of course, it cost enormous amounts of human blood and treasure to work with such intractable materials. It's always been amazing to me that the largest buildings human beings ever built are, in a sense, the first buildings human beings ever built, because the pyramids of Egypt are enormous, even by modern scale, and yet they were among the earliest buildings ever built. In virtual reality, the difference between a 100-story building and a 10-story building is 1 0. That's all. In a line of code, you specify 100 over 10, and you get a 100-story building instead of a 10-story building. What this should tell us is that in the domain of light, the intractability of matter is overcome. And so we are on the brink of a time, we have arrived, we are at the time where the human imagination now need meet no barriers to its intent. And so we are going to find out who we are. We are going to discover what it means to be human when there is no resistance to human will. Now, this is, I suppose, like a litmus test for paranoia. Is this going to be a nightmare of, 24-hour-a-day sadomasochistic pornography? Or is it going to be, will we literally build heaven on earth? Knowing what I know about the human animal, I suspect it'll be both and. Because we're not going to get everybody marching in the same direction on this, and one person's hell is another person's heaven.